Hey everybody, so I, 32, female, am expecting my first child with my husband, and both of us are super excited. We've been married for 3 years and have been together for 5 years. Unfortunately though, his parents have never liked me, so that's been a bit of a problem in our relationship right from the beginning. Of course, he has never held it against me because he loves me, but his parents being against me has always made me feel bad because after we got engaged, they refused to speak to us, and I knew that it was on my account that he had ended up ruining his relationship with his parents by choosing to be with me. There are a couple of reasons why they never liked me. The first one being that I had been married previously. It was a total mistake, that marriage. When I was 22, I got married to my college boyfriend because I thought that he was my soulmate, even though we had been together for just a year and hadn't even lived together. And when his parents were grilling me, this naturally came up. Now, another reason why they were against me and had started grilling me in the first place was because I'm a couple of years older than my husband, and they didn't like that. I'm 33 right now and my husband's 29. It's just 4 years and I really don't think that it's that big of a deal. But for whatever reason, his parents seem to think that it's insane that he's with a woman 4 years older than himself. It's not even like we are from 2 different generations. I don't know what the problem is, but yes, this is something that they don't approve of. Anyway, there are a lot of factors I think that they don't like. In addition to these things, I've always been very outspoken. I don't think that our political opinions match either. And after marriage, they expected me to quit my job and take care of the household. But I wasn't able to do that either. And the cherry on top was that I make a lot more money than my husband does, which is something that he's very proud of, but his parents don't like at all. And they think that it's emasculating for him. So after a lot of fights about this, post our engagement, his parents just drifted out of our lives. My in-laws did not even attend the wedding, even though they were invited. It was a bit of a blow to my husband, but he sailed through it all with a smile on his face because he didn't want me to feel responsible or feel guilty about any of this. And in the past 3 years, he's been a pillar of strength and support for me through the ups and downs. And I'm really thankful to him for that. So recently, when my in-laws said that they wanted to reconcile with us, after we announced our pregnancy on social media, I was all for it because I thought that this would be an opportunity for me to plan a wonderful surprise for my husband. Since I know that, even though he doesn't like to talk about it much, he definitely misses his family. So I agreed to it and we planned a surprise for him. But I had no idea that it would backfire like this. They had reached out to me online via email, asking me for our address and contact info, since there had been some changes in the last 3 years. After thinking about it for a couple of days, I decided to provide it to them, and within a week, they had shown up at my house. This happened 2 days back, and I'm still reeling from the shock of it. So, they had told me about the time that they would show up and everything, and I made sure that my husband would be at home. But when I opened the door at that point in time, it was not just my in-laws, but there was another man with them, and that just happened to be my ex-husband. They were here to surprise my husband, but I was the one who ended up receiving the shock of my life because I hadn't seen this man ever since our divorce had come through. And my in-laws were smiling as if this was the funniest thing to have happened. And they even went on to say that this was a special guest that they had brought with themselves because they wanted to surprise me as well, since I had been so kind to let them back into our lives, even after everything that happened. It took me a couple of seconds to process everything, and even my ex-husband looked uncomfortable, but when I realized what was going on, I decided to just shut the door and I went back inside. They kept ringing the doorbell, trying to call out to me and get me to come out so that they could be invited in. But I wasn't going to budge. What they had done was really insulting, especially given my current situation with my ex. And obviously, given the racket that they were making, my husband heard them and asked me what was going on because he could hear his parents yelling outside. So I told him about the surprise that I was planning, and I told him what his parents had done as well. And then I finally broke down into tears because things had not been good with my ex-husband in the past couple of years. Pretty much ever since I got engaged, he's been a nuisance to deal with. And I don't want to get into it, but things just haven't been good with him. So bringing that guy to my house when I had decided to reconcile with them and give them a chance, it was just a low blow. Anyway, after I told my husband, he was very upset, and he decided to go out and deal with his parents, and when he came back in, they were gone. I didn't even ask him what happened because I was really frustrated and angry with myself for even trusting these people. Anyway, after that, they reached out to me via email once again yesterday, and in that, they were apologizing to me. They were trying to tell me that it was just meant to be a joke. It was all meant to be in good humor, but when my husband had come out, he had explained the situation to my in-laws, and they had realized that their little prank on me was not in good taste. But they also said that they had no idea that I had been having problems with my ex. And if they knew, they wouldn't have done this. So they were apologizing and they wanted a second chance from me. But I don't think I'm willing to fall for that. I've spoken to my husband about it as well, and he has told me that I can take my time, that there's no pressure on me. But I still feel guilty because I feel like I'm keeping his family away from him even more. However, at the same time, I also feel like it's not fair to me. And regardless of whether they knew what was going on with my ex or not, they just shouldn't have brought him along. It's his common sense. If they're really trying to reconcile with us, then why would they do something like this? I just don't get it. And I feel like I'm being pulled in different directions. I just don't understand what to do in this situation. Aita for not wanting to give my in-laws a second chance to reconcile? Edit. Okay, since a lot of you were asking, I'll let you guys know exactly what was going on with my ex. But it's not really relevant. So the long and short of it is that he couldn't handle it when I got engaged because apparently he still hasn't moved on. I don't know why. We got divorced a long time back, and after that, we did not have any contact with each other because our marriage was really unhappy. And I think we were just glad to be rid of each other. But then, all of a sudden, after I got engaged, he started texting me again, saying that he just needed another chance to prove himself to be a good husband, and that I would regret it if I went through with this marriage because we were meant to be together, and he could just feel it. And he kept texting me about it even after I blocked his main account. He made a bunch of other accounts to reach out to me. This went on until I got married, and even after that, intermittently, every couple of months, he would text me that he missed me. He had even spoken to a bunch of our friends from college and told them that he knew that my marriage to this other guy was not going to work out because he could feel that we were meant to be together. I don't know why he's being so delusional, especially when 3 years have already passed since my marriage and I'm expecting my first child. This is definitely not the time to be showing up at my house. What I got from my in-laws was basically that they decided to ask him to tag along as a prank, believing that I would be surprised to see him, but they had no idea about these other things. That's not the point though. Even if they didn't know, I don't understand why they asked him to come along. Even if we were in a situation where we were just divorced without any of this other drama, it would still be a very unfunny and highly inappropriate prank to pull. They had invited him, and he had obviously been very excited to find out where I live. So that's another problem that I'm probably going to have to deal with. Anyway, the fact I didn't know about any of this stuff, that's really not an excuse to have done what they did. Update 1. Hey, so thank you so much to everyone who commented on my post. It just validated everything that I had already been feeling, and I think I'm going to stick to my decision. I'm not going to forgive them right now. Besides, I have my husband's backing on this. He has already told me that, regardless of whether he misses his family or not, what they did was not acceptable. I had been guilt-tripping myself a lot, and I spoke to him about it, and he told me that at the end of the day, it's the thought that counts. He knew that I had tried to forgive them, to move past everything and reconcile for his sake, because I knew that he missed his family. But his parents were the ones who had screwed things up, so I don't need to feel bad about that. He also told me that at the end of the day, our marriage is more important to him than his relationship with his parents, especially right now, since we are on our way to having our first baby together. And so my happiness means more to him than anything else. So I don't need to beat myself up about something that isn't even my fault. That really helped with my guilt because honestly, I don't know if it's the hormones or whatever, but I had been feeling extra emotional lately because of everything that had happened, and speaking to him really helped me get a load off my shoulders. So I'm definitely going to stick to my decision. I'm not going to respond to their email either. Update 2. So just as I had expected, the fact that they know where we live and they have our contact info turned out to be a bit of a problem, because even though it's been a week since I started ignoring them, my in-laws refused to take the hint. They have decided to take it upon themselves to force us to forgive them somehow. I don't know how that'll even work. But anyway, I think that is the intention, because today they showed up at our house once again, banging on the door, demanding to be let in, saying that they did not deserve to be treated this way just for a stupid little prank. Unfortunately, the only person who was at home at the time was me. My husband was out with a couple of colleagues for an urgent meeting with a client, so it was just me, and the way they were being so aggressive outside the door kind of freaked me out. But I decided to deal with it in a level-headed way. And instead of freaking out, I went to the door and told them that they needed to leave me alone because it was just me here. I told them my husband was not around, and whenever he would come back, I would inform him of what they wanted. I would inform him of the fact that they had shown up, but for now they needed to leave because they were stressing me out, and that was not good for the baby. I was very polite to them because I really did not want to make the situation worse. But they didn't take that kindly. They started telling me that I was the root of all the problems, because if I had just learned how to take a joke and if I had not been so oversensitive, then they wouldn't be having these problems anyway. It was shocking that now, since my husband was not here and they knew it, they felt like they were afraid to speak to me like that. But I shouldn't have expected better, and that's how they've always treated me, so I shouldn't have been surprised. Since they were showing me their true colors, I decided to record it so that I could show it to my husband when he came back home. I didn't think I had to, because I knew that whatever I said, he would believe me. But even then, I thought it would be good to have evidence in case they tried to say that that's not what happened. So I recorded them, and all through the video, I could hear them banging outside the door, telling me to come outside and sort things out like an adult instead of cowering behind the door. And both my in-laws were being extremely aggressive with regards to their behavior. They were shouting, their tone was borderline offensive, and well, you get the picture. So I have all of that on tape. And after a while, when I realized that they were not going to leave, I told him I would call the cops if they didn't, and I really would have. But thankfully, at that point in time, I guess they realized that since my husband was not at home, there was no point arguing with me, so they left. But even before that, my mother-in-law decided to tell me that they would be back, and whatever plans I'd made of isolating my husband and alienating him from his family, it was not going to work because they would keep trying and I would never be successful in breaking them apart. That's never been my intention, but whatever. Anyway, about an hour ago, my husband finally came back home and I showed him the video and I told him everything. To say that he was upset would be an understatement. He was livid. He had every intention of going over to his parents' place and giving them a piece of his mind. And he was even planning on speaking to a lawyer and getting a restraining order against them somehow. Because I'm pregnant right now, so he doesn't want them troubling me constantly like this. And all of that can happen in due course. But before that, I thought it would be more important for him to discuss this kind of behavior with them and try to tell them to stay away politely first. Since realistically speaking, I don't think it was going to take him anywhere if he just decided to go over to their place and start yelling at them, or if he tried to file a restraining order, because it's not like they have threatened me on anything, and I don't know if we will even be able to get one against them. And I truly believe that they will be more receptive to him rather than me. So I convinced him to speak to them and at least give civilized discussion a try first. Before we go ahead with anything else, it was difficult to convince him, but eventually he gave in, so that's what he's going to do. After that, if they still don't agree to leave me alone or if they bother me again, then I'm definitely going to be taking this up with the law, because they can't treat me like this and get away with it. Right now, the only reason I'm holding back is because of practical considerations. Otherwise, given the way they treated me today and have been for so many years, they really would have had it. But honestly, given my pregnancy, I just don't think I'm in that space of mind, and neither do I happen to have that kind of energy to go after them right now. So in a way, I'd say they got lucky because of that. Update 3. Hey everyone, so it's been 2 days since my previous update and 2 things have happened. I think I'll start with the situation with my ex. I'm sure everybody who has read my previous posts would know that I was having a bit of trouble with him, and I really thought that he was going to be more of a problem, but I don't know what changed. But something definitely did, since he has decided to let it all go because he wants me to be happy. That's literally what he sent me. And once again, it was from a newly made social media account, specifically for this purpose, in all probability. Before I opened that message, I was honestly scared because I knew that it was him, and I thought maybe he was going to try and tell me that he missed me once again. But this time it was just one big message telling me that he had realized his mistake, and the day that he saw me, he felt like he had done something wrong, which he had. He's not wrong about that. But anyway, moving on, he said that when he saw the expression on my face as soon as I spotted him, he realized that he shouldn't have been there because I was probably happy in my life with my husband and I did not have any space for him. He was right about that, even though it was weird to see him finally acknowledge it. He said he was very sorry about everything that he had done, about how he had behaved, and he knew that no matter what he believed, the reality was different. I'm with somebody else now. And he has to respect that. He can't just keep harassing me and hoping that I'll realize that he loves me and come back to him because he had a chance and he screwed it up. And now it's time for him to let me go. So that's what he's doing, and he's letting it all go now. He told me that this was the last message that I would be receiving from him. And maybe in the future, if I wanted to get back with him at any point, he would always be open to it because he really loves me and he'll never be able to forget me, but he wants me to be happy as well, so he's letting me go. And I have to say, It made me feel very weird. It was kind of bittersweet, and I almost responded, but in the end, I chose not to do so because I thought that that would give him the wrong impression. So I just left him on scene, and that was it. I guess that's one problem solved. And I'm glad he has come to this realization. Now, coming to my in-laws, things with them have not been so easy breezy. Yesterday, my husband went over to their place to talk to them so that we could at least try to sort things out. I didn't go for obvious reasons, but I thought maybe they would be more receptive to him by himself. I was proven wrong because after my husband came back home, within just half an hour, he was infuriated and told me that there was no way to deal with this other than filing for a protective order because they were obviously losing their marbles and he didn't trust them. He explained to me that when he went over in the beginning, they were pretty nice about the whole thing and they said they shouldn't have gotten so aggressive and he thought that they were going on the right track. But then when he started telling them that for now, I just wanted to put some distance between us because I was still processing things, and given my pregnancy, I didn't think that it was the right time for us to be trying to sort things out because clearly things were always getting heated and I don't need that right now. He tried to tell them to give us some space politely, but they didn't like that. And they started telling him that I was trying to brainwash him against them and that he needed to do something about this because given my behavior, they believed I'm going to do the same with their grandbaby as well. They started telling him that he needs to be more in control. And apparently they think I'm pushing him around because I'm older and because I make more money. So the power dynamics are all off. Basically, they were doing the same thing that they were accusing me of doing. They were trying to brainwash him against me, but that didn't work because he could see through them quite clearly. My husband tried to get them to stop, but they wouldn't let it go. And they kept telling him that he needs to be the one pulling the strings and he can't allow me to get my way because otherwise I'll end up turning my child against them as well. And that will simply not do. He tried to defend me, but then they got angry and they started bad-mouthing even more, and it just turned into a huge fight. Eventually, his parents started saying that they were going to fight us for custody because we were clearly not fit to be parents since we don't even know how marriages work and we're going to ruin the child's life. His parents even went to the extent of saying that they were not going to let this go and that they would do anything it took to make sure that their grandchild, the first grandchild of their family, was brought up according to their terms and wouldn't turn out to be like me. Now that sounded like a threat, and lucky he did the same thing that I had done, and he had been recording the whole thing. In our state, that kind of thing is admissible in court, so I think we're going to go ahead and file for a restraining order against them. I guess we'll give it a couple of days, but I think it's something that has to be done. It also brings me to the fact that we are considering moving into a bigger house by the end of this month. And I think the quicker we can wrap things up, the better it will be. This has just given us all the more reason to make the move because we had already been thinking about it. And now I think it's a bit of a necessity. So wish us luck. Update 4. So it's been 3 days since my last update, and I would just like to tell you guys that we are definitely going ahead with a restraining order. And we are definitely moving out of this house as soon as possible. Last evening, my husband and I were just watching a movie in the living room when, once again, his parents decided to show up. I'm honestly beginning to get sick of this, but anyway, when they showed up, we decided to let them scream and shout all they wanted, but we were not going to open the door. However, after knocking for a couple of seconds, his dad started cursing me out, and I'm not just talking about cussing me out casually. He was literally accusing me of a lot of things, calling me a certain kind of woman that I don't even want to repeat. It sounded like he was crazy, and that was the point at which I decided to pull out my phone and call the cops because I was not going to entertain that kind of BS. My husband didn't even stop me, and instead he just opened the door, and told his dad to get the heck out of there. That fight carried on for a while, and throughout the whole thing, his father was trying to push past my husband and probably trying to get to me, which was dangerous in itself because I didn't know what he was going to do. He looked crazed, and my mother-in-law didn't even try to stop him. She was just standing there behind him, glaring at me as if I were the one at fault. Anyway, luckily the police arrived soon enough and they were taken away, and we're hoping that charges will be pressed. Even if they're not, at least we have the security footage. So it'll help us in securing a restraining order against them, because this is just not acceptable. What happened last evening should never have happened, because it made me realize how dangerous people can be when it comes to family. Even if I have not done anything, it didn't matter to my in-laws. They were not willing to accept that their son is a grown man who is capable of making their own decisions, and they wanted a scapegoat. Unfortunately, I happen to be that scapegoat, and I don't know what they could have done, but I don't want to find out either. So we're going to go ahead with the restraining order. We're also going to move out because I don't think it's safe for us to be living here anymore, since they can show up any time they want, and my husband can quit his job and stay at home. And I'm going to start maternity leave in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to be home all the time. I can't have this kind of thing happening. My parents live out of state, and I can't exactly count on my friends to leave everything and stay with me during the day. So as much as I would like to sit back and relax, this has to be done. It's really upsetting that they are willing to pull off stuff like this. But there's nothing to be done about it now. We just have to deal with the problems as they come, I guess. Update 5. Hi, so it's been 2 months and I've been quite busy with the moving process and everything else. But long story short, we did manage to get the restraining order against my in-laws. So that's a win. And we have also moved out of our old house and into a newer and bigger one. It's in a better neighborhood as well, and we've already started the process of painting the nursery. So we're really happy about how things have turned out. Mostly I'm just happy that I have such a supportive and wonderful husband who has been willing to stand up against his own family for me. I'm really lucky that I have him by my side. And I know that this baby is going to be even luckier than I am, because we're going to love him or her so much. Anyway, thank you so much to everybody for all the support. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.